Washington, D.C. We also have Miriam Chamgasho, Director of Freak USA, and Mwani Kanoa, a banker in Ohio. I'm very privileged and happy to have you in this episode of the Uganda Diaspora Show. And today we're going to tackle a very interesting conversation, one that oftentimes we or run away from, or perhaps think that it's obvious that some of these things, you have to take into account. Today we're looking at managing personal finances, saving for retirement, but I also want us to talk about insurance. And it's one of those interesting conversations I've been waiting to hear and have with you people. Otherwise, how are you? I overheard you guys talk about the weather. It is worse here as well. So global warming is such a big issue. Right. I want us to quickly get into it. And there's lots of questions that I have lined up for everybody. But particularly, why is the issue of savings, the issue of, we are told that you people abroad, for us who are here on the continent, we'll be looking at you people who are doing very well. You have made it in life. Everything is all right. But then challenges do happen. And especially COVID-19, we saw people, dying, and then they have to be repatriated, and there were challenges. We have to contribute here and there. There's a lot. So let's start with the basics. I want to start with this banker. Yeah, a banker. I'm sure a banker, you've had the story of Ugandans in diaspora and their savings. What is your experience, for example? The Ugandans in diaspora, are they, because for us, when you guys are abroad there, we're thinking, these people are living like the Muzungu. So, which means you have insurance in place, which means you have, you're saving like the Muzungu, which means you're banking your money is like the Muzungu. As here in Africa, it's a totally different story. Let me hear from you, Noah. How was the experience of Ugandans in diaspora and their savings, their personal finances?
Albert has been in community service. I've been in community service. I think the challenge when it comes to Ugandans when they migrate over here, first of all, it's like, that transition is a tough one. It's kind of like, there are so many things. Somebody wants to, first of all, like in economics, we say like, the basic necessities of life. That means housing. That means like, maybe they, food, clothing, right? So they want to make sure that those needs are covered. And also the other biggest challenge that they have is that when they are starting out, they are not making a whole lot of money. And yet their responsibilities either have actually expanded as a result of migrating over here. That means like if somebody had a roof over their head back home, now they are having to pay for rent over here. So it becomes like, a little bit of a challenge. That means they still have to maintain the family back home, and they have to maintain the family here. So it becomes a little bit difficult for them to hit the road running with a savings culture, because they are still going to go through that process where they're going to adjust. So that has been one of the biggest problems, which means that as a result, they are not taking advantage of things such as life insurance. They are not taking advantage of things, even like work place saving opportunities, like for some of us who grew up in Uganda, we know about NSSF. NSSF is mandatory if you're in the private sector. If you are in public sector, you will get a pension. Over here, when they come, they are not working in government. They are all working in private sector by the nature of their immigration status. You don't easily just simply go and get into federal government and start getting into those jobs. That means that your first place that affords you savings is going to be like NSSF. So we call those ones 401k plans. But most people will not understand what a 401k plan, including myself. When I got here and somebody told me, do you wanna save for like money in a 401k? I said, what is that? She said, it is something where you save money for your retirement. And I said, don't worry about it. I'll take care of that. The person, like, because I didn't know what she was talking about. Like, how does that, like, I was like, is that extra? Like you have NSSF and then this is another one that you will have to put money aside. At least I had some knowledge of a 401k. So with that, that is one of the problems that we have. Do not understand those opportunities that are available for them, and therefore it's like, there shouldn't be concern, because has got the advantage that they had, like, maybe a financial background, an economics background. So thing is not to judge people. Best thing is to try to draw closer to them, try to explain the opportunities that are available for them.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Noah. I like you give us an intro into how you become a Ugandan diaspora, and then culture shock hits you of how to adjust around things. Allow me, as Albert, you're into economics, you're working with the federal government, and you're a community leader. Most importantly, we also understand that you have been in the US for a while. Where are the challenges? Why don't we Africans in particular, why don't we Ugandans in diaspora, why are we not good at saving? Do we even understand the reason and the importance of saving, of the saving culture, especially one that we have picked from the Muzungu?
Thank you, Lynn, and good to see you again. And welcome, fellow panelists, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, where you are. That's a good question, and I thank Noah for giving us that build-up of reminding us of Maslow's hierarchy of basic needs at the bottom. So when we are here, most of us, not all, but most of us, are in that lowest category. We're really fending. We just came out of Uganda. We're here and we're fending for ourselves. We left families behind. We have dependents left and right. And we're also trying to figure ourselves how we fit in this new community. So yes, and Noah is right. So the first thing on our mind is not saving. It's really that survival. Where's the job? Because we think the streets of America are paved with gold and you'll just come with a basket and keep collecting, but it's not that way. You come here, you're lost. Okay, you're lost. I actually joke, I was like, if I had the money and I had the ability, I'll just park a Boeing plane at Entebbe airport and say, whoever wants to come on, and they'll just drop it right here and say, okay, now you're in America, and see how they survive, especially in winter. So it's not that easy. So Noah has made that good, given that good background, and I want to build on it. So what should you do? And I would rather take the question from there. Oh, by the way, I think you've introduced me, and actually that's good. I will leave my introduction that simple. I'm a community leader. I've been here for about over 25 years now. So I'm a veteran here. I've seen it all. Um, so let's build on that. So what should somebody do? Because now I'm speaking from the experience, my personal experience and experience of friends and the experience of being a community leader, seeing people come in this community and leave this community back to Uganda. So what should somebody do? The first thing is to tap into the community of Ugandans that you've found. A good community, and by community, I'm not talking about community organization. I'm talking about personal relationships. I mean, Ugandans were very resourceful. When you get here and you find Eileen or Golda or Miriam, you can ask around. People will tell you, especially if you come here and ask me, I'll tell you who you can talk to in this community. I've lived in this community for 25 years. I know one or two things about the community. I know one or two things about some people who can help you in what areas, when you're looking for a job, when you're looking to get into the system, if you want to join the federal government. I know the people that I can send you to. So that's the first thing you do. When you come, one of the mistakes that most of our friends make when they come from Uganda, they get here, either they isolate themselves and completely wall off. Somebody you meet somebody and they've been here for 5 years, like, really? I've never seen you in a community picnic. I've never seen you at a funeral. I've never seen you in church. Where do you live? But they insist that they've been here for 5 years. So that person is really at a great disadvantage. Okay, so when you come, the first thing you do is seek out your fellow Ugandans. This Mzungu thing is a little bit overrated. The Mzungu here is the Albert Bakasara from Kitumba in Fort Portal. I'm your Mzungu when you get here, okay? So first, tap into that network. And they're very good network, and they're even community organizations. They're very good community organizations that really help people when they come. I could think of Denver, Colorado. There's a young man there. He has a 90-day program to welcome Ugandans. He's a businessman, brings you in, gives you an apartment, sets you up with papers. Boston community, where Golda is, they have a very good network of helping Ugandans. People tell you what job you can do, even when you're before they get set up. It gives you a name of where they don't ask a lot of questions. They place you there so that at least you're not a burden. You're not sitting and eating all the little money that you came with from Uganda for months and months before you can get something to do. So that's the first step. The second step, now that you've you're settled in, you've gotten your papers, whatever papers that allow you to get out of the house and drive a car and go work. When you are in that level, so you've moved up a little step. But at that time, then it requires you to take, I'll call it a shift from the community responsibility that we assume in Uganda to an individual responsibility that the American system requires. In Uganda, if you don't have salt, you can knock on your door as a neighbor, and the meal will not be interrupted. You don't have that here in the US. You assume individual responsibility for better or for worse. Okay, so that mentality that we come with, that does not allow us to think of. I'll give you an example, since we're talking. This is like a business forum. I'll give you an example, and I would assume Golda will talk more about this because she's the insurance expert. Ugandans don't get insurance here. That's the example I can give you between community responsibility and individual responsibility. Ugandans here, they can spend money on beer, they can spend money on muchwamo, they can spend money on everything, but no life insurance. And yet, it's not that expensive. That's because we have that community responsibility mentality that we come with. Ah, Mulambo Tegushwara, as the Baganda say. My people will take care of me. When I'm dead, I'm dead. It's not that simple. When you're dead, you leave a lot of obligations and a lot of bills behind. So you're not dead. You're really a burden in death. Why not take care of that when you have that belt and you're working? But it's really a mental shift that is required to say, you know what? Now I have kids here, I have a home here, I need to protect my family. It's an individual responsibility that the American society requires. For us, we come, people will come, they'll bury you, they will even love you more in death than they did when you were alive. That's the mentality in Uganda. But it doesn't work here. It does not work here. So that's the shift where you shift from that cultural shift where you say, you know what, that was Uganda, this is the US. So that will be the second thing that is required. Okay, when you have that, now you start thinking, okay, I'm in this society, what do I need to do? Now you start talking about the things like the 401k, you start inquiring on investment opportunities, savings. And a lot of people, believe it or not, Lynn, do not cross that barrier. They never. That barrier is there even when somebody has lived here for 10 years. They still think as a Ugandan. I don't know how much of a Ugandan you are if you've been in America for 10 years, 10, 15 years. Okay, at least you should take the best of both worlds and kind of forge a unique perspective and that models your life, or that informs your financial decisions. But most of our colleagues do not get there. So I'll stop there, and then when we come back, and I'll add on there to see what other personal tips we can give, and maybe when somebody lands on this conversation, they can pick a leaf, and people in Uganda who are prospective immigrants to this place have that knowledge before they got here. Because I can certainly tell you, we did not, or at least I did not have that information when I got here. And what I'm talking to you is really out of experience of the things that
yes.
I didn't do.
Great. I'll come back to you and ask you how that went for you. But for now, allow us to welcome Golda. Golda Namara is a licensed financial professional with the state of Massachusetts. Golda, we need to talk personal finance management with Uganda Diaspora. For us here on the continent, here in Uganda, we look at people abroad. This is being fancy. You people are, you have made it in life, and we think you have adopted quickly. We think you're doing way, way better than us in terms of personal finances, in terms of insurance, in terms of retirement planning, and also packages, of course. But we are often told that most of the workers abroad, most of our people abroad are a paycheck away from living in their cars. How true is this, Golda, and where is the problem? How can we help?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Like Lynn introduced me, I'm Golda Namara. I'm a licensed financial professional working with a World Financial Group, which is a brokerage in all the states here in the US and in Canada. Yeah, so for me, basically, I was thinking of the solutions, because one of the major things that we do as a brokerage is financial literacy in the communities. And what I've discovered has been so alarming, because you find someone has been here for even 30 years and they know nothing about how the financial system here works. They are still doing everything the way they used to do it back home. And unfortunately, because we learn from socialization, they are also teaching their children at home to do the same thing. You find that even children who have been born here are managing their finances the way we manage them back home in Uganda. So this is like for everybody in the diaspora, or even people back home. that the very first thing one should do before they even think of making money is getting financial literacy. Because I also get stories from Uganda, where people are signing up for employment loans, they don't know the interest, they don't know, people are taking all kinds of financial decisions. You see, our honorable MPs back home in Uganda, they are the most highly paid, but the most indebted group of people, So the very, very first thing we can do as a community abroad or back home in Uganda is to get financial literacy on proper goal setting for our finances, proper saving, because, you find someone has a savings account, for example, here in the US, they have had it for 10 years and they don't even know the interest on that account. And the bank is making some very good money. Let me say you have an account where they're giving you 2%, and the bank is lending that money to someone on a credit card getting over 15%. So thinking of proper ways or learning proper ways of saving, proper ways of investing, proper ways of wealth protection, like how do you really protect what you have built, learning proper ways of wealth accumulation is very, very important. That is one. Financial literacy. Without financial literacy, no matter where you are in the world, and shockingly, I was seeing we also have a panelist here working in the bank. I've met people who are even brokers at Wall Street, and they are not financially literate at all. At all. Yeah, so financial literacy. And then the second thing I think we can do, especially for us diaspora people, is to invest wisely. To know, like, what is an investment? Is it something, when we are growing up, I grew up down in Rukunjiri where, you used to hear young boys saying, when I grow up, I want to build a house this big on that hill. Those are the kind of dreams most of us here in the diaspora are chasing. Someone builds a multi-billion house in the middle of nowhere just to fulfill that fantasy. And the unfortunate thing, the house could be in Uganda, and this person is raising a very young family here. So considering key features of investment like taxes, tax advantage, like the protection that is on your investment. We have had so many cases of fraud here, especially in the Boston area. So many people have lost so much money in those fraud schemes in the community. If I'm getting my money and giving it to, for example, Miriam, what protection do I have on that deposit I'm giving her? Like here in the US, there would even be no excuse for you to give your money to someone in the community, because we have so many financial products that can grow your money the way you want. So considering tax advantage when you're investing, considering protection, considering safety, like how safe is where you're putting your money. As listening to a story yesterday of someone who bought very good land in Garuga, but she did not like fence it or something. And then she goes back to Uganda after 6 years and they have cut it off from 6 corners. Yeah, and some of the people who took part of it are soldiers. So like, you're really investing where you're putting your money, is it safe? Like if it is here, we have so many groups, those groups like the ones they have in communities deep down in Uganda, where you collect your money, you give it to someone, and then that person, you rotate.
Circles. They're called circles.
So we have those ones here. There are so many, and people have lost an enormous amount of money. That if that person had sought a bank or an investment company, shockingly here, all the banks even have investment branches that are sometimes even willing to give free investment advice. But still, we are managing our finances the way we used to do home, and it has cost us. And then on investment still, also we can look at growth, that where you're putting your money, whether it is in Uganda or here, sit down and see, like 10 years from now, what do you expect from there? How is your family going to benefit? Even if the venture is so profitable, like if you're raising your children here in the US, like you find someone grew up in Uganda, they have an investment back home in Uganda. They themselves who grew up in Uganda are failing to collect rent from that investment, but they somehow have a dream that their children who have grown up here will go and collect rent from that facility. So considering the 4 key aspects of an investment, taxes, protection, safety, growth is very, very, very important. And then the third thing that we can look at as people in the diaspora is having financial goals. Like having financial goals which are specific, which you can measure, which are attainable, which are relevant, which are time-bound. This, number one, will save so many from fraud, especially the fraud in the community, because people are defrauded due to idle liquid cash, you know. Someone has been collecting so much money, they have like 50,000 under their bed. So someone who's smart in the community comes up with some good scam and it's all gone. But if you have financial goals, let me say you're saving for your retirement, you're saving for a house, you're saving for your children's education, you're saving to do investments back home or here, it will be very hard for someone to come up with some cooked up kind of, you know, get rich scam and take advantage of you. And then I'll share one more, I don't know, and then we can discuss and then I'll share the rest later. Another thing that has really kept us behind is instant gratification. I normally hear from friends because I do like education at churches, groups. Right now, after this session, I'm going to meet a very big family group that have organized to teach. And one of the main hurdles we have in our community is wanting to satisfy, to quench that thirst we felt back home in Uganda in just a short period of time. You want to get that Range Rover you have always dreamt of immediately, no matter the consequences. You want to get all those nice clothes you saw on TV immediately, no matter the consequences. You want to do for your children all the things you see celebrities do for their own, even in your first year here in the USA. You know, you find so many. What hurts me most is that it is us, the impoverished community. Because to be sincere, we the African immigrants and the Spanish are the impoverished here. We are the ones roaming around the malls. Today is Saturday. People wake up very early in the morning, clean up, and just run to the malls. Whatever they see, I must get. That for research was done at Stanford University years back on very young kids on instant gratification. And they discovered that all the kids who, they gave them like candies, like sweets. And they discovered that all the kids who wanted their sweets immediately to satisfy themselves there and then achieved nothing. That's the story of most of our diaspora folks here. You find someone has been here for 30 years and they have nothing. So I really think if we as a diaspora community can try to discipline ourselves, you know, try to hold back a bit, have a plan in place, like where we can control emotional spending. By the way, the scams are also part of instant gratification, because someone is telling you, you know, you don't have to wait to invest in Fidelity for 15 years. No, I can do something here for you 2 years. You'll be a millionaire, chap, chap. And that's it. So I think if we can try to manage the instant gratification, we can avoid scams and fraud, we can avoid emotional spending, we can avoid the stress that comes with the instant gratification, the regrets, and we can avoid debt too. Because debt, like we'll be seeing ahead here, debt is a very, very big hurdle, especially for us immigrants. Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much, Golda, for that. Wow. Wow, wow. Financial literacy. And interestingly, Golda, this cuts across, it's not only the Ugandans in diaspora, even Ugandans here in Uganda need that financial literacy. Many people are drowning in debt. Many people don't even know that their savings accounts are behaving the way they are behaving because of there's a whole lot. I think what you mentioned is very key. Financial literacy is very, very important. Miriam, let me come to you, Miriam. What was your experience, first of all? We know that you go abroad, you have your money, you have documents, you're working. But are there what challenges, apart from what Golda, apart from what Albert and of course Noah have mentioned, what other challenges do we as Uganda diaspora have?
Like the previous panelists have mentioned, the biggest challenge is lack of knowledge of what to do. I remember the first time I heard about the 401k savings, I said, I'm not interested in that. After all, I don't plan to stay here for any longer. So when you tell me about long-term savings, I'm not interested. That was my first reaction, because my plan was just come, do whatever I want to do, just run back home. But it turned out different. So, but I got that opportunity to discuss that because I was in an informed environment. I was working with a school, with a university. So I can imagine most of the Ugandan community, the majority of the Ugandan diaspora community are people who are doing short-term work, temporary work, like working in factories, nursing, and most of the time they don't have like long-term contracts, like the formal employment environment as we know it. So you are there, you are working today, you are hired, you are paid. Sometimes you work 2 weeks, sometimes you work months or whatever, but you are there temporarily. And then you are fired the next day, or you just move on to the next available opportunity. So you find that environment itself encourages like working to satisfy the immediate needs. It doesn't even give you time to settle down and save if you are not, especially if you are not knowledgeable. You don't get the chance or the time to ask about the benefits that could be there with your employer and how they can help you save. You don't even accumulate enough credit to attract your bankers to talk to you about the savings schemes they have. And if you do, most of the time you find that you have high interest because you are not like credit worthy. So if you are buying the car, it comes at a high interest. If it's mortgage, it's at a high interest. So those are the biggest challenges, but it's especially so much of a challenge because people are financially illiterate. Even when you have formal education, are you financially literate? Do you know what saving is? Do you know long-term benefits of saving with a certain financial institution? Do you know how to build your credit? Do you know how to invest in something, whether remotely, like stocks, like whatever? We don't know anything about such. And I think all of us should take a deliberate effort to inform ourselves, like we go out to seek information about our health. We should go out deliberately to seek financial information so that we save. Because I don't think if you are not like a professional from your education, the financial information comes to you naturally. It's not something you are going to read from a newspaper or hear from a TV station. It's something you have to deliberately go out and look for and put in your mind to know what benefits you and how you can achieve it.
Okay. All right. Let's just move on a little bit. I want us to talk about, I want to come back to you, Albert. Yes? Albert, before we can talk to Noah about what could have improved, you're a community leader. This is most important. But what I was trying to say, Albert, is that you have been in the US for a bit and you are a community leader. My question is, from what Golda has told us, that the major problem the Uganda diaspora have is community leaders so far. And do you see any changes? Do you organize, for example, orientation moments? Do you go out there out of your way to educate people, because this is key? We are tired of organizing car washes. We are tired of organizing I don't know, community come together and collect money for so and so to be brought back home. All those things. We need to find lasting solutions, and I think it starts with you, the community leaders.
Thank you so much, Lynn, and thank you. Yeah, Gola is absolutely right. Just to piggyback on what she said, to have financial goals. So financial goals are really life goals. It's the life goals that drive the financial decisions that we make. So what can we do as community leaders? She's out there in Boston, and Noah is in, Miriam is in Ohio. I'm here in Washington, D.C. So we do help people. And believe it or not, there are some people who, you're sitting on your dining room and somebody calls you and say, oh, no, I got your number from so-and-so, and they said you might have information. And sometimes we help them, and sometimes we just send them in the right direction. So that's the first thing I had said, that when you get here, tap into a meaningful relationship, whether with a community leader, people who can help you. They're there, okay? If you arrive in Boston, Golda is there, but you will not know that getting off the plane. It's by asking the people and say, hey, who is the person here I can talk to who is well-versed in ABC, and they put you there. Okay, so again, once you've settled here, then it's the life goals that drive you. If you've gotten married and you have young kids, I completely agree. An investment of a mansion in Rukunjiri or even Kampala, it doesn't matter how prime the area is, it's really not an investment. You have those personal responsibilities that I talked about in the beginning. So now you have an immediate challenge to raise a young family, to protect it, to provide it financially. The investments in Uganda should kind of go on the back burner. I'm not saying, hey, if you find a good piece of land, don't buy it. But as Golda said, if you buy it, make sure it is in an area that you can protect, not next to some general who's gonna put the fence around it and make it his or hers. So those are the decisions that we make. As community leaders, you introduced me as a community leader, but maybe I could give some background to the panelists. I've been in this. I was a youth activist because I got here as a very young man, and then I was a founding chairman of TOR American Association. That's an organization that some of you might have heard of. It's still going. Then I had a stint in UNA as the deputy speaker for a couple of years, and last year I ran, and that's a whole different story. But I was unsuccessful in taking the helm of the organization, and really what we wanted was not power or money or anything. It's exactly what we're talking about here. How could we turn an organization that unites Ugandans away from this nonsense of partying on Labor Day weekend and spending $500,000 on nonsense? How do we empower? How do we turn into an empowerment forum for our people, both here and in Uganda? So those are the challenges for the community here and the leaders especially. We need that getting together. We need that getting together. We need that these values of here in the US are any superior to our values. I actually do suggest, and I will say this over and over again, pick what is best in both cultures. Bring it together. We have good values that our parents instilled in us when we were growing up in Uganda. Bring those. Now pick some good capitalistic investment, as Gola is saying, these values here that will help you provide for your family. provide for your community, and empower you. I have from my business training, and yes, I'm lucky and to have the financial literacy that Golda is talking about. I do have an MBA in finance. So, but that's a piece of paper. How do you practically, how do you interpret it practically in your life, or what tips can I give here for some Ugandans to use? I would say 3 things. Measure what you value. If you're spending, take a moment, go in your bank statement and see where you have spent your money. This is like a self-help kind of financial literacy that can be complemented by a professional like Golda. But you can do these things on your own before you even get there. What do you spend your money on? Take out your bank statement, look at it, and see where have you spent your money. And if you have spent your money on things that don't matter, and they don't value them, and not consistent with your life goals, they're not consistent with your young family, they're not consistent with where you want to be, that would be your first step in carrying out the stuff you don't need. The second one, value your time. In economics, they have this concept of opportunity cost. and this is like lost, and I'm not knocking people in Uganda, but this is a complete foreign concept in Uganda. Okay, opportunity cost is a foreign concept in Uganda. Okay, you would find, I used to laugh at my mother who and then stay there the whole day and then wait in the evening to get 2,000 shillings for transport from the politician. And I look at her and like, but you're my mother. You could have spent your time better sitting at home or even digging a garden for $2,000 the whole day. But in Uganda, people do that. Okay. And when we come out of that environment and we get here, you find our brothers and sisters making the same decisions. Somebody say, oh, gasoline is very cheap in some gas station 5-6 miles away. And then, but you calculate on how much time they will spend on the road, and really? And there's no savings. So value your time. Value your time. If there's a nonsense that is going to take you the whole day, put it in financial terms and say, okay, I'm going to wash a car. If the car is very, very dirty, it's going to take me a whole hour. How much money do I make an hour? How much does a car cost to wash? And you'll find out the better deal is actually go give somebody $25 to wash your car. Okay, so again, value your time. How do you spend your time, and how does that translate into the losses? Okay. Again, what did I say? I said this is a foreign concept in Uganda, and it is. You find somebody spending 3-4 hours in traffic. Yes, it's not their problem. Maybe the city could plan more. Maybe the government could actually do better. But who is the government? It's the people. If you don't have that concept of opportunity cost, you're going to get in government and you're not going to plan for the city. But honestly, think of the economic cost to the country of the jams in Kampala where people don't get where they're going. Instead of supplying a lorry of mango and dropping it off and going back and getting another one and bringing it back, whole day, one lorry of matoke makes it into the city center. Think of the economic loss. And the other matoke is ripening and in Rukunjiri and Kabarole, and then it never gets to the market. It's not like it doesn't have a market, it just never gets there because we don't have that concept of opportunity cost. The third one, cultivate meaningful relationships. And this is where I started off. Who are your friends? Who do you talk to? What do they impart into you that is valuable, that you can use? And I'm not saying this, I'm not saying that this is easy, because some of us are in our shells and you don't want to make new friends, and we are the stressful of our colleagues, and then you meet a new person, is like, what do they want from me, that kind of stuff. But honestly, build meaningful relationships. I'm talking to you now. This is my relationship group. Look at the STEAM people I'm talking to. This evening, I have a get together. I'm going to be sitting with a couple of people from World Bank. I'm going to be sitting with a couple of friends. We're going to be about 5, 6, 7 small group of people having dinner and drinks. But that's the opportunity cost. The value of that conversation, where you have people from who can impart something into you. Okay. Yeah, you can have your friends here and there who you joke around and play around and do the nonsense with. But that should not be your life. Okay. If you do that once a month. But the other 4 Saturdays, find out, call a Miriam, call a Lynn, call a Golden, and have 15 minutes of their time. Hey, Golden, I'm checking on you. Yeah, I was thinking of bounce an idea off of her. Usually people pay these experts for a lot of money. But by the virtue that you happen to come from Uganda, the woman will talk to you and you'll end up getting a $300 worth session for free. So build meaningful relationships. Again, I'll repeat to them. Measure what you value and how you spend your money. Because if you care about something, you have to measure it. If you don't, then that's fine. Then you will never even know where your money goes. Okay?
Right.
Value your time and then build meaningful relationships.
Okay. Thank you very much, Albert. So Dale, I hope things are okay with you right now. If you remember our question earlier, let's talk financial management and also available opportunities in Uganda. And from what you've had so far, the experiences, and what more can you add on this?
Lynn, thank you so much, and my fellow panelists. This is a very engaging and insightful moment. Thank you for inviting us as NSSF, but me in particular. Golda really understands pretty much what is happening in the minds of many Ugandans. And actually what happens with Ugandans abroad is the same as what happens locally. I also used to think that people, when they go abroad, they probably come back with a better way of thinking about finances. But unfortunately, when they come here, it's even worse, because the only thing they learn about Uganda is they see these little girls partying, taking these false selfies in places where they cannot even enter. And they actually think in Uganda we are just eating money. In Uganda, there is no money. So when those people come here, you see they have a lot of appetite to spend. And that's really bad, especially for people like us who are in this particular sector. As NSSF, we've had a great experience. I get a lot of colleagues who are in very many other countries, not necessarily in America, Dubai, Sweden, and you guys are all facing the same problem like we are facing here. A Ugandan is somehow grown up in a family where, the moment there is money, that money must be spent. Unlike our colleagues who we have stayed with for a long time, the Indians, we are not learning anything from them, especially in terms of frugality and how they handle their finances. For us, we are still stuck in our traditions that the moment, they keep coming up with all forms of slogans. Now the most trending one is, if the money you have can't solve the problems you have, eat it. And, that's what every young person is going through. And that's what they do over the weekend. However, I want to advise, just to add on what Golda was saying earlier, especially people, as NSSF, we came up with a financial literacy campaign, and we actually have constituted it into a department. And one of the things we are realizing is people, even those ones who are working with financial institutions, they are financially illiterate. I find so many guys from Bank of Uganda, from, you know, the guys we think are driving this economy, when they are getting towards retirement and you ask them what next, they have no idea. Someone comes and draws a billion shillings or 2 billion from NSSF, because as you know, and we've had some relative peace in the country, people's salaries are being high. So, like, and because NSSF has forced them to save without drawing up, somehow many people have big monies in NSSF, and you realize that when they come and get this money, the only thing they can do is to quench their appetite on extra women, extra liabilities. You find a man who is almost clocking 55 years and is still producing children in an environment like Uganda. You just understand that it's a whole facet of things that we need to manage in this financial literacy arena to ensure that people understand, especially retirement. One of the things, I've taken note of most of the things Gold was saying, and I think I will be listening into the recording. But one thing that I also want us to add on what she was saying, when you guys meet young people, especially the ones who still have responsibilities, there are two things when we are investing money. You are either investing to accumulate or you are investing to appreciate. Now, when you still have responsibilities of taking children to school, paying rent, managing here and there, you must invest in assets that are going to give you constant flow of money, so that in the event that there are circumstances like how COVID came, job loss, ailments, you have a way to continue surviving. Then as you manage as you get so many of these small incomes coming in and accumulating over time, now you can start thinking of investing in assets that appreciate. Now you can go into things like stocks, you can invest into things like land. Let me particularly speak about land, because many of you have heard you speak about this thing. Many of my friends, especially who come from Western Uganda, I've seen them, the moment they get their first salary or the first loan they get, they want to build a house in the village. I don't know what they do there, probably to a statement that I am making money in Kampala. But you have just established another liability for you, because you are now going to get a boss to manage your asset. That guy who sleeps in your house, he's the one who calls you every day where power is off, water is not running. So who is the boss of the other? Actually, that guy is your boss, because he's commanding you every day on, and you are there a slave of that person you have built that house for. So it is happening so much in our communities that you get money, and the only thing you are thinking liabilities, liabilities, liabilities. So I want us to add a voice on many of those people. If you have bought a piece of land, say in Kampala or around Kampala, make sure you have a plan to develop that land so that that land becomes income for you. Otherwise, if you leave it there idle, with the hope of appreciation, which is largely speculative, because remember, you're only going to say, I'm going to buy this land with the hope that in the future it will be this much. What if it is not? Yet if you build rentals there, and maybe you know you're getting a 50,000 there or 500, then you know you have added on your income streams, and that's going to do you pretty much better than actually having assets around that are not adding value to you. What we have done for the people, especially in the diaspora, and it has been informed by the stories that I keep getting on my desk, Miriam might have introduced me. I work with the NSSF voluntary department. So what we are doing here is, remember, many of you know NSSF as a forced saving for people in the private sector. Now, the voluntary contribution allows anyone who is a Ugandan to now voluntarily save into NSSF, because either way, we are all going to face this future together. We are going to retire in this same country, and we believe that if you can have some money put aside, especially with a trusted organization like NSSF, And when I say trusted, I don't want to take it literally. I want you to understand it from the financial perspective, because you are all financial experts. NSSF is guaranteed by government of Uganda. So whatever mistakes it does, you have a guarantor who is a government. So you are safer investing in such an organization than throwing your money in many other things that keep coming up, and you don't know actually who guarantees your safety. So what we are doing with the guys in the diaspora, one, you guys have a very big problem. You save money in, I don't know, that 401k scheme. However, when you are leaving, I don't know why many of you are unable to claim that money out of it, and many other areas where you save it. I don't know how it happens in the US, but I have worked with many guys in the Scandinavian countries, guys in South Africa. When they are leaving, they are unable to bring that pension back home. And some of them say, I'm tired of living in that area and I want to retire in Uganda. And remember, we do not have agreements of exchange between those countries. So what we have done, we are writing to those schemes. We write with your consent, and we ask them to transfer your money into NSSF, so that in the event that you are going to retire here, that money can come, and but we guarantee them that once it is here, we will not give it to you until, say, you have made 50 years of age, or when you are sick and unable to work, which things are prescribed by the International Labour Organization. So we meet those standards, and we tell them that once your money comes here, we shall not give it to you unless you have a social security issue. But most importantly, right now I want to share with you that the highest saver in NSSF is actually a guy who works out of Uganda. I'll not mention his name, but what he did is, when he was still here, he had an NSSF account, which you can also open even if you are not here, as long as you have a national ID. He has told his employers wherever he's working that please send my money to NSSF. This is what it has done for him. This guy now is the highest saver with 6 billion shillings. What does that tell you? That means if this guy, every time we declare interest, okay, let's say for the past 11 years we have not declared interest, which is below 10%. That means if we declare this year a 10%, that guy will earn 600 million of money into his account. And that means this guy, even if he retires today from the diaspora and comes, on average, he has, say, 2 million shillings at his exposure to spend every day, even if he decides to live for another 200 years, which he cannot do. So I want to encourage people in the diaspora, as much as you can. Why do we need, by the way, why do we even talk about these things of telling people that save your money with a pension scheme like NSSF? Because in these schemes, you have tax advantages, that all the money we will get or give you as interest will not be taxed, and we will not also tax you when you are drawing it out. So that means you can have a free ride with your finances, and now just have a point where, you know, if I retire at this point, probably I'll have this much, and it's going to do you so much good. What does this money do for you? Rather than you invest in fixed income, bonds, and maybe real estate, NSSF invests in all these assets, but optimally. We make sure that we maximize the advantages that can come out of these asset classes, and that's why we are able to come up with the interest that we give you every year. Yet you as an individual, you may not have the knowledge to invest in real estate, the knowledge to invest in bonds, the knowledge to invest in equities. Now, these experts help us optimize this, and then you are able to get an adequate return at the end of the day. So what we want to especially say in the diaspora, we have gone into the real estate area because we have seen that you people, you keep buying land here and you buy air. Now, at least you come to NSSF, we keep advertising on our website. We show you which estates we are developing. you can actually come and buy those assets if you think they are going to make sense for you. But we'll also advise you whether, according to the age where you are, you need to buy into real estate, or you could go into other asset classes so that you can maximize the profit out of them. So thank you so much, Lynn. I'll be waiting for other engagements. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tadeo, for that. But before you leave the floor, I was reading about offers that Uganda has in terms of savings and retirement for people in diaspora, and I came across NSSF Diaspora Connect. What is that? Briefly tell me about it. What is NSSF Diaspora Connect?
Sorry, I have a cough. Lynn, actually what we are doing with the Diaspora Connect is exactly what I've been mentioning. We have now given an opportunity for people who are working in the diaspora, but in their minds, they know that they are going to retire in Uganda. And I have told you we have two areas. One, open up an account with NSSF. So in the Diaspora Connect was actually a way of how can that money get into NSSF. So once we give you a number, you can use your card, you can use your bank. Unfortunately, many of the communities are unbankable, either maybe because people don't have papers or some kind of thing. But we also know there are very many former Ugandans who are working in the diaspora. So we can start with those ones. Those ones who are unbankable, like I think Albert was mentioning earlier, where you are able to have these people into a community, and then they remit that money and we receive it as a block, and then we just have a breakdown of whose account do we credit. We can also receive it so that we can allow people in the diaspora save back home into their pension. Why is this important? These are all financial experts and they know. The reason actually those countries where they are developing is because pensions give an opportunity for long-term capital. So industries can borrow and create jobs. Now here, unfortunately, the biggest borrower is government. The biggest borrower is government simply because the price of credit is too high and the people down there cannot handle. Now we think if we continue to grow these retirement funds and we have a lot of capital available, even if government is chasing too much, when government is chasing too much money, definitely the rates will go low, and that means many industries will be able to start up, borrow cheaply locally, create jobs for our brothers and sisters who are here, and then also continue to grow. It's a cyclic process that we think that if we all put together our effort as Ugandans, both abroad and internally, we can actually be able to make Uganda a better place. So those guys can actually now just join. I'll share with you the links. If anyone wants to join NSSF or transfer the money they have in other pension schemes back home, we can help them do that so that they can have their retirement designed where they will retire. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Tadeo, for that. I hope you have heard. Albert, I don't know if you're planning to die and leave that and not come back home for your final journey. I know that is an African conversation we don't like talking about, death. And us going, planning for our dignified final journey. I brought that up because he just talked about the fact that you can change your monies in different saving schemes back home. So we need to think about that. How also I want to, Golda earlier mentioned that people are not interested in life insurance. Even Albert also mentioned, even Miriam, Noah, you also mentioned the same. But then we have a big problem. When people fall sick abroad and unfortunately die, there's a huge problem. My question is, why die and leave your family indebted when you could have done something better? I want to begin with you, Noah. Now we're heading into solutions. I'm glad that Tadeo ushered us into a couple of solutions. I want us to dive into solutions to the challenges that we have highlighted. Why die and leave your family in debt and leave your family in trouble, leave your family hanging and struggling? Repatriating your body is costing heaven and earth, and sometimes they have no way of repatriating one's body and ABCD. So I want us to look at solutions to avoid those eventualities, especially in regard to life insurance and savings. I want to start with you, Noah.
So Lynn and other panelists, thank you again. I mean, like, I'm here because of community service. I've helped several people, like, move from being renters to home ownership. I just had somebody close on the house. They were able to get 5%, now, like, down payment assistance, those kinds of things. The thing is like Albert said, it's like, tapping into the community is like really key, and building meaningful relationships. So, like, the way I got into community service was I got here and I wanted to tap into this community, and the people were very friendly, but one of the things that I encountered was like, either they did not have like, the good information to share with me. So they were apprehensive in providing information. I made a few mistakes, like, when I was going to school, like, the year I was graduating, I was trying to buy a house, and somehow it didn't materialize. So when I was going to school, there are things that I should have done differently. Like, say, for example, there are classes I should have taken from a community college instead of going to like, a fully fledged college, 4-year college, because it would have been cheaper. But that information was not forthcoming. And when I began to accumulate this knowledge, mistakes made because I didn't know, but I was just trying my best, I said, I think I need to give back. And that is how I get into community service. And we volunteer a lot of time. And like God, I was saying, yeah, all we are trying to do is to empower people. We are trying to give them that financial knowledge so they can make the right decision, so they don't make the mistakes that we made, or they don't miss the opportunities that we missed. Because when I think Tadeo was talking about accumulation and then appreciation, right? The way the system operates here is like, it's like, when you get into investing early, then you're gonna end up like, accumulating, and later on actually realizing the appreciation much faster. So, and that is the concept that we are trying to tell people. Like, if you start early, the outcomes are gonna be much better. And I think Gilda touched on instant gratification, right? The get quick rich. It doesn't work here. Like, I keep telling folks that it doesn't work. You have to be frugal, you have to be nimble, you have to be deliberate in making these like, these decisions. Like, I gotta put money in the 401k. I gotta like, we also have Gilda is in life insurance, and she will tell you, I keep telling folks, World Financial Group has got a very good insurance product that somebody can utilize. Because I do own a policy myself from World Financial Group. And I keep telling folks, like, these are the things that you have got to do. Miriam talked about, like, people have got temporary jobs. That is no excuse, because the government still allows you the opportunity to do what? To open your own individual retirement account, right? Where you can put up to this year, I think it is going to be 7,000. It used to be 6,000. You can be able to save 6,000 and invest 6,000 on your own. But even at these places of your work, if you, it is gonna make it easy for you if you sign up for a 401k there. I don't care. Even if you save 6 months over there and you leave, you can transfer those assets to your individual retirement account. These are the opportunities that are there. But the greatest problem that we have is that people come and they bond in these cliques sometimes that do not help them, and like when sometimes people like us, Bakasara, Golda are trying to talk to them, all they are thinking that we are being elitist or we are not understanding their problems that they are going through. I think that is one of the greatest challenge for us that are trying to reach out, trying to tell people, and it is kind of tough. So some of us, we have tried several things, like, you know what, I'm gonna like, try to like, make some jokes with them, bring myself to their level so I can be able to penetrate and be able to talk the same language. But those are some of the things that we have. But also the chance that I have had working with the community is also understanding that people come here at different ages. So somebody can get here when they are in their 40s, and like, the way that person is going to approach life is going to be different. So that means, like, even us who are in community service, it's like, we need to point them at like, to the right people, and also share with them the right information so they can better, like, prepare. So like today was talking about like, the NSSF. Like, I'll be honest with you, if somebody got here in their mid 40s, right, and they have extra resources to put in a NSSF, that would be a best investment, because guess what? Like he said, it's 10%. When I put my money in a 401k, the growth is going to be between probably 7 and 10% annually. And most likely when I am in my mid 40s, I am going to pivot towards a conservative portfolio, which in that case, it means that I am going to end up realizing less than probably even between 7 to 10%. So those are some of the things that like, I think like, we need to kind of share with the community, like, hey, maybe there are also these other good resources, like say in Uganda, which you can be able to take advantage of if you're talking to somebody who is in their mid 40s. Now, I'll be honest with you, for somebody who is in their 20s, early 30s, it's like, if they just put their money, like say, like in a 401k, in a good life insurance program, absolutely they're gonna do fantastic. They will be, because like, their returns are gonna be higher because they are not investing conservatively. They are a little bit aggressive, so they are going to see like, a good return on their investment. So that's kind of like, what I can share is like, it's just understanding our community. Like, I tell people, like, not everybody like, has to be a homeowner, but like, there are those advantages that home ownership is going to afford you. You're going to build equity. That means, like, hey, when you wake up and you say you want to go to Uganda, you can sell that house and you can get all the money out of that house and go with it in Uganda, rather than building a house like we said back in the village. It's not going to help you. It's like, but here your interest rate that you're getting on your house is like 4%, 5%. Like, that is the interest rate on housing here. So that is good. So just make sure you get a house that you can afford, and then you can begin to accumulate that equity over time. So when you decide to pack your bags, you can get that equity and go home. So that's kind of like, like what I would share a little bit of, like, from understanding the community and from what I have seen.
All right. Thank you very much, Noel, for that. Golda, you have heard from Albert, you've heard from Noah, you've heard from Miriam, you've also heard from Tadeo. How we're now seeking for solutions. We have all seen these challenges, we're seeking solutions. And we need to, instead of having normal conversations, I think we need to move on to action. How do we move forward? What do we focus on right now?
Okay, thank you so much. This discussion is really, really insightful. You know, when you listen and you're hearing some things for the first time, for the NSSF idea, I think I'm really going to push to market it on our different platforms where I normally go and teach and minister, because a number of our people, especially people who are 50 years and above, do not want to retire here. So I think they could really use that, yeah. So for me, some of the solutions, I think number one is for financial literacy, like I had said in the beginning. And then number two is for people to get proper insurance, not just life insurance, but also proper insurance on health, because that can also having no or little health insurance here can easily leave one so indebted and probably into bankruptcy. Having proper insurance on your car. If you do not have insurance on your car, you know, the time we're on the road, morning, evening, moving up and down, something small happens and you could lose everything you have ever worked for. That's the American system. The system was created in a way that insurance here is the foundation. Insurance on your house, on your car, on your health, on your life, on everything, on where you're renting, wherever. If you do not have insurance, proper insurance, here it is one straight key to bankruptcy or one key to high debt. Like for life insurance, by the way, our community normally associates it with just final expense. But when you're looking at life insurance, final expenses, even like in finance, they do not really consider like the American system. These people will work hard, and mostly the Caucasian community and the Indians, they work hard, they go, they pay the funeral home, they work hard, they go buy their small plot. They do not quantify that in life insurance. Life insurance here does four major things. Number one, it helps pay the debts that you leave behind. Because if you have debt and you do not have either assets that can be liquidated to pay or proper life insurance, when they report death here, the very first people they notify by law, because by the way, I'm also a paralegal student, I'm doing my degree, I'm almost done, that by law, they notify the people who are your creditors before they even help your family. So if you can imagine, if you are collecting money from the community to take someone home, what's going to happen to their debts behind? So life insurance, first and foremost, ensures that the debt someone leaves behind are paid so that they are not inherited by the estate. Number two, it helps give income to the family for at least 3 to 6 years. That right now, even in Uganda, there is life insurance. We should take advantage of these modern ways of managing money. I was sharing with a group that the way we handle life insurance in our community, especially here in the Boston area, is the way life insurance was handled in 100 BC in the Roman Empire. Can you imagine? That's where people would come, you know, give just small bit of money for you to go and be buried. They used to do it for the Roman soldiers. So many years ahead, we are duplicating it in our community, and shockingly, with all the knowledge that we need in our surrounding. So the income bit is very, very important, because like I was saying, if someone has assets back home and the children are here, it will be very hard for those children to depend on the income collected there, even if the assets are doing very well. So the income should be at least covering the family for 3 to 6 years. They believe that at least in 3 to 6 years, the family has stabilized and they can move on. And then the mortgage. Albert, for you, you've been here in the community for some good time. Ugandans buy those gigantic houses, 10-bedroom house. Most of the rooms are even empty when they hold parties, people, their friends who are drunk and can't sleep there. But it is much more important to look at the end in mind, like making sure that that house where we are holding the parties, we are taking photos, actually remains as an asset in our family. So that is the third use of life insurance. It should be able to cover the mortgage debt if someone has a house. And then life insurance should also be able to cover unforeseen expenses like children's education. That's life insurance. Whatever else I see being talked about in the community, I've tried to address a number of leaders, and somehow, somewhere, either, I don't know, but they kind of like brush me off. But it is not doing a service to our people if we know the right thing, but we are still marketing to them something that we know is useless. So that is life insurance. If we can invest, some of these policies are very cheap, like term insurance could even go below $30 a month. So if we could really insure ourselves properly, and not just us adults, even kids. We have seen some families that have been unfortunate to lose kids, and they collect at least a substantial amount of money that can take them for some good period of time, or even using those policies like the banker was saying, I forget his name, Noah was saying that some of these policies have cash value, like our brokerage has a pool of over 40 companies, but some of the companies like Transamerica, Prudential, Nationwide, John Hancock, Fidelity have policies that have cash that grows at a very, very good rate, like above 9%, and it's also tax advantage. That's what I've also, by the way, liked about the NSSF product. Wherever you're growing your money and you're not paying tax, you're doing yourself a very good service, Yeah, so we should really take advantage of life insurance, and then we should plan for retirement early. I normally share again different platforms. I have a friend who's 74 years old here. She's still picking shifts. 74, you find, some people are like, but we cannot employ you. You could break your back, you could injure the patient, but she has no way out. She sent all her life savings to her sons in Uganda, and they defrauded her to zero. So if we start investing early and investing in proven things, like for NSSF, I've saved with them for some time before I moved here. So I know like it really works. That is something I could do with my whole heart, because I was putting in just a little bit of money. But when I was moving here, I had almost 50 million. I was surprised. And like I was saying, and Tadeo was saying, the shocking bit is that when I got that money, I was financially literate, and I blew it up all, gone in a very short period of time. The moment, I called relatives telling them, oh, my sisters, I got money. One would come up with a problem of $500, another one 5,000, wherever, gone. So I really think if we start early, that if you see these white people, the Bazungu and the Indians, they start saving for retirement, even for their kids. Their kids. They pay them some small little bit of money and they open for them Roth IRA accounts or other retirement accounts that qualify for the kids, and they are giving them some small bit of income. By the time the child is starting to work, they already have something to build on. But in our community, we are holding for our children parties, very expensive. My child has new teeth, my child is this, my child is that, you know, baby shower this, gender reveal. As we are wasting the money in instant gratification, time is not waiting. So we reach a certain age, we start to work, and then we discover now we are going into student loans. So I think retirement would be best if we start as early as possible, not waiting for us to really reach like 30s and 40s, and then we are like, oh, we need to retire. And then another solution that I think that could really work well for our diaspora communities, wherever we are, is to plan for our children early. And not only planning for them in time of money, but also investing time into their talents. Because talents are one good way of paying for college here in the USA. But you find people working day and night. They just buy their children tablets, laptops, and get house help. That's it. They ignore something which could have helped their child grow, you know, talent-wise, while also competing for non-monetary ways of paying for college, or even helping them increase their grades. For me, for my degree, I'm an A student. You know, Albert, you've been here for some good time. Here, once you perform so well and you join those honors clubs, you don't have to pay for school. The scholarships come to you first before they go anywhere else. So investing time in our children, investing for them early would also help, you know, kind of mitigate future stories or conversations like this. And then lastly, what I think, the second last point, let us learn as a community to work with professionals. It is very, very important. I have told people time and again that even if I have a small idea, let me say, about stocks, but I'm not a professional in that line, I might not be able to see something that someone who's qualified with the licenses will be able to see. So we also have that big hurdle that I think would be solved by we changing our mindset to trusting these professionals that they really have that fiduciary duty to do for us what is best. Because at the end of the day, you're trusting your money with someone. We have had the latest scam where people lost so much money here in Boston. People gave their money to someone, $1,400, each one of them, hundreds and hundreds of people. And because this person was not a professional and the bank was seeing his account, different people depositing, they froze everything. You know, so we should learn to use professionals because they know best what we do not know. And lastly, we should think of having estate plans. Albert, you're the leaders here in the community. Try to talk to our people to have proper wills. At least those who are building wealth, I see we have so many here, especially here in Boston. People are buying rental buildings. They are buying all kinds of things. Let us have proper estate plans where, you know, someone has a will that is properly written, properly signed and notarized, where the person has a trust if they have like a lot of wealth, or, you know, or if they're able to afford and it can save them a lot. Where they know they have like health directives written and signed properly. You know, we know if so and so is in hospital and he or she is unable to speak, what do we do? Whom do we call? These are modern things. This is how we are supposed to really manage our finances. And lastly, financial powers of attorney. Even for the things we have back home in Kampala, I have a friend who has been building assets in Uganda. but the mother was the one managing. When the mother died, the family back home did not even contact her. They have sold everything. Let us have proper estate plans, clearly indicating what happens to what we are building here and what happens to what we are building at home and who is in charge and what can be done if the people we are vesting our trust in, if they do not do what we hope they are going to do for us. So for me, I think that is the way forward for our community. But like for me, I go there wherever I'm called upon, short notice, long-term notice, I'm always there. I educate because I know knowledge, you cannot go wrong. Yeah, thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Golda, for those wonderful insights. As you end estate plans, as you concluded your input, estate plans, I think, is one of those big challenges we have around, even here in Uganda. It's not only just for our Ugandan diaspora. I want to quickly run to you, Albert and Miriam, as we wind up, but I want to start with Albert. Albert, I'm giving you 5 minutes. We have a mentality, I think it's a cultural issue, that we don't discuss death, we don't discuss estate plans, we don't discuss life, we just live in the moment. And we keep saying that our people, my family, friends will take care of me in any eventuality. And from what God has told us, things don't look good at all. People are going to, swindle your stuff, and eventually there'll be nothing for you. So Albert, in 5 minutes, as we wind up, what do we do? How do we move forward from this mentality, from this cultural, blockhead or cultural, I don't know what we can call it. It's a taboo to talk death, to talk estate plans before we die.
Thank you, Lynn. And thank you, Golda, for that was good. That was good. So to piggyback on what Golda is saying, and the solutions are there, but one is going to start with us. Not to start with us, but to continue with us, because we've been doing this work as community leaders. We need to continue. We can't give up on our people. We need to give this information out there, and Lynn, you're doing a great job, and hopefully we go ahead and send out this information, this tape to the recording to every place that we can, so people can hear this information. Golda pretty much covered everything, so I will just try to plug some holes in not holes per se, but some of the things that we just brushed over quickly. We talked about mostly on this session, mostly about investing, financial literacy, but we didn't really go deep in the two main components of financial literacy. Yes, we talked about income generation, but the two main components are income generation and debt management. So we talked a little slightly more about income generation and wealth management, all that stuff that fall under there. But we did not talk about debt management. It's very important for our community. Debt. When we come, and Golda talked about instant gratification, when you come and get here, whether it's student loan, where we find our people getting, once you have papers, you're eligible for a student loan, instead of borrowing only what you need, people go, oh, by the time I finish school, I'll probably get a job, and then you end up taking up more than you should have. You build a little bit of equity in the home, and let me take the equity out and buy this nice expensive car, or buy a plot that my cousin told me about in Wakiso. Those kind of things are on debt management. The interest rates matter. Credit scores. Here we do have that's part, the biggest component of credit management is credit score. What are your credit scores? How do you manage your debt? If you manage your debt, you could even have, if you manage your debt well, you could even have free money to just play around with. Every day I open my mail and there are checks from credit cards. Say, oh, Albert, you can take $10,000 out of this card at 0 interest rate for 20 months. Imagine that. You can take this money out. 20. Why? Because I have carefully built my credit over the years. If you have a little bit of equity in your home, leave it in there. Golda talked about investing in your children. Please do. Why don't you have college funds for your kids? When we're here, my little one, yes, I'm still having kids. My 2-year-old came and said hi. But those kids have college funds. They have life insurance at 2, because at 2, it's the cheapest. He has a policy, he's the latest one. He has a policy of $50,000 up to 20 years. From 20 years, that will be building equity, and he will never have to pay a single penny. That policy is there. He will just keep accumulating funds into his old age. So once he turns 20, I'm done with him. He lives my house, but he doesn't live empty-handed. He lives with, by then it will probably be $100,000 in that policy. So do that. College fund. Why not? We have the money now. We are working. Why not put $100 in a kid's college fund now? So by the time they go to college, they don't have to do what we do to suffer the way we suffered. I had to take out student loans. I mean, I don't regret it, because they've opened education. It was another thing that we could put in this component that opens doors here in the US. Our people come and instant gratification. They don't go to school. They don't. But these opportunities are there. You have to better, like I said, income generation and debt management. On the income generation side is when we talk about employment, education, and the other things that build you to have a constant stream of income. Okay, but mostly the important the emphasis I wanted to put was on debt management. We are so indebted. Our people are drowning in debt, and it's not really because it's just that they don't know how to manage it. But a key component is making sure, do you pay your bills on time? When you get a little credit card, don't borrow money and then you go and give it away. So they're waiting for you in Kampala, and you reach out there and you're spending money on your credit card, and you come back from a Christmas holiday and you've blown $5,000. Now you're struggling to pay it back. And by the time you know it, your credit score has moved from 700, now it's 300. And now when you go to buy a car, instead of paying 3%, you're paying 12%, 15%, 20%. That translates into money. Okay, that difference between paying a car note of $500 and paying $800, that's $300. That's a whole million that you pay every month because you did not manage your credit well. So those are some of the things we can do. But again, in the solutions category, as community leaders, Golda, please do not despair. Okay, I've been there where you are, especially when I was in UNA. Used to have these stupid schemes where, do $15,000 and they can take your body home. And then what happens after that? What happens? If you are an able-bodied person, okay, my cell phone bill in this house for the 3 cell phones is about $200. I'm going to watch Arsenal about to play. My cable bill is $170. Why wouldn't I pay $50 for insurance and have $500,000? Why wouldn't I? I usually joke with my wife here every time I'm sick and say, how are you feeling? I was like, well, why do you worry? If I die, you'll be sick. I mean, you'll be rich. You'll be rich. And I mean it. Honestly, I mean, I say it jokingly, and these are the things we don't talk about because of our Ugandanness, so we don't talk about death. I do in my household. I even joke about it. Say, hey, if I die today, why would you care? You're going to be a rich woman. You probably would have somebody living in my house, because I have to have that kind of insurance, not the $15,000 that some of our Ugandan people are selling. No, my life insurance is to the tune of almost $1 million because I have.
Albert, your time is up.
I have kids. I have to make sure they're protected if I go today. But yes, I had the same situation, the pushback with Golda. Oh, you're an elite. I don't make any apologies. I didn't come here as an elite. I've done every odd job you can think of. Okay, so I don't apologize for where I am, but I also cannot take it and say, you know what? Oh yeah, they're saying I'm an elite, so I cannot give that advice. The best thing is when you are able to work, protect yourself, protect your family, leave something. Don't leave them hanging when you leave. Thank you so much, Lynn.
All right, thank you very much. We are racing against time, and now Miriam, you have the floor as we wind up. How do we move forward? Do we continue having these conversations? Do we change our approach to these conversations? But because we noticed that there is more work needed to be done. Yes, so Miriam.
Yeah, yes, sure. And there is a lot of work need to be done, but these conversations are very important. I hope we keep having them on this forum and other forums. And I want to call upon Tadeo NSSF, since a national agency, since they've tried to reach out to the diaspora community. I think that's a good initiative, but how many people know about that? It's like lighting a candle and putting it in a basket. I don't know. There are so many initiatives in Uganda, even different banks have different initiatives. There is also the capital markets, the Bank of Uganda Securities. There are so many opportunities with the Uganda Investment Authority, which the diaspora community could invest in easily, but it's like the government is not putting in that extra gear that is needed to communicate about them and reach out to the right people with the right information. And Tadeo, please take note that not all diaspora people don't understand English. So when you are sending that information, I check on all the websites of Uganda. There is no program that is put in local language. Most Ugandans know Luganda, no Swahili. Honestly, this is a very big concern. We know English of saying how are you, please, but we don't know financial English. We don't understand the banking language. So try to break down all that information in local languages. It doesn't hurt. I think we have a colonial mentality of saying like everything has to be English, and then it stays with the elite groups, and the people who really need knowledge don't access it. They look at it, they can see your brochure, but are they going to understand what you are saying there? And that's how we miss out on opportunities. So next time, at least look for the main 2, 3, put in Swahili, put in Luganda here and there, and then reach out to so many people that would need your services. But thank you so much for responding to our call and educating us. It was a great opportunity. And I hope next time we call upon you with Golda, we really learned a lot from you, Noah, Albert. I appreciate you, all of you, and Lynn. Today was very educative, and I hope we have similar discussions in future. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. Why I concluded with Miriam is that she, puts this together, and we get to sit and have conversations that we ought to have every other single time. I want to thank you very much, Golda, Tadeo, Albert, Miriam, and Noah. Thank you very much. I think we ought to have more of these conversations. And I urge you, especially Tadeo, whenever you have any conversations in regard to diaspora, we are here. We are always available. Just to reach out to us, and we shall have the platform available for our diaspora Ugandans. You have something to say?
Yes, Lynn. Thank you.
Okay.
Very much.
Okay.
One, I've taken note of the request from Miriam, and that one we are going to incorporate in all our communications. Just like she said, we had just taken it for granted that everyone who stays in America understands only English. But yes, it's very important to have these people touch base with their local languages. I just want to conclude with only 3 aspects. One, to first of all console my friend Golda. It's okay you ate your money, but the good thing is you ate it at a young age, so you have a lot of time to recover, and I know you are going to do it. So very, very soon, you are just part of the 80% of Ugandans who are getting financial literacy from their relatives. Many of you consult your wife or husband in bed, and poof, you are making a financial decision. So let's learn the habit of talking to financial experts so that they can help us, coach us into a better life. Then the other thing is, as Ugandans, especially in the diaspora and elsewhere, let's make sure that we accept our problem that we inherited. We are not very good at saving. So let us save in areas which don't allow us to withdraw every time we want. Now, that's the only reason people have a lot of money in NSSF, because for them to get that money out, just imagine when COVID happened, they wanted to blow the entire fund out. However, we had to be very careful, craft a law that can help us mitigate such similar occurrences in the future. So let's save money in places where we do not have, the liberty to pick it, because otherwise then it is not a saving. Then just one more advice from the people to the people in the diaspora. I have a brother who recently got a loan of 900 million. I think he works in the US somewhere, and he came and bought and built apartments. I asked him, what is the income you are looking at every year? And he told me, no, these apartments are going to give me a total of 6 million per month. That sounds great, but that is if you are working with faithful tenants. In Uganda, trust me, if you are targeting 6 million, you only get 3 million. Now, on a loan of sincerely 900 million, if this person had consulted financial experts, I would have advised them, even if he doesn't buy a bond in Uganda, place that money in a municipal bond in Nairobi, which is going to give you a 16% return. On average, that person would have got, say, 140 something million per year, which is around 12 or 13 million per month without any hassle. And then he can struggle to pay that loan back home, wherever he is, but when he knows it is substantially working for him. Remember, at the expiration of this bond, he will have recouped all that interest, but also his money will be there, and therefore he can plan his retirement around that area. So there is a lot we can share, and the Golda and all the team here, even me, like I will be inviting you in the event that we have an opportunity. Please invite NSSF to speak to those people where they have doubts, so that they can hear from the horse's mouth. Thank you very much, and have a blessed, I don't know whether morning, as we are almost going into the evening. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Tadeo. That's very key. Very, very important. So Golda, Miriam, Noah, and Albert, and myself, we are available for you, Tadeo, and also available for anybody out there that would like to have this conversation. This is an ongoing conversation. I think, Miriam, we need now to bring it down to insurance, to the particulars, yeah? Next time we need to break it down and really have the concrete conversations. So thank you very much. I wish you all a lovely weekend, and we will catch you again next time.